Hey, y'all. Welcome to another Heim Time podcast. This is Emma.
I'm Travis.
Welcome back.
Yeah, very exciting. This will be a fun episode. We have a lot of hot topics like Formula One.
Ooh, yeah.
Anything else?
Golf. That's all I really care
Britney,
about right now.
Free Britney update, right?
I've got an update about some Britney info.
Some cool stuff. So we're really excited. Again, this is, I think we're going to try to do solo, then maybe guest, alternate, but
cool.
We'll see. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So,
good to know.
Patreon.com/Heim Time Podcast. If you want to support $5 a month, you get kind of little insider info, more videos, other stuff on there. Follow us on Heim Time, YouTube, Instagram, iTunes, Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a review. That's awesome. That means a lot.
We need those.
It's free. You don't have to do anything for that, right? So,
there you go.
Spotify, anywhere podcasts can be listened to. Please subscribe. It means a lot to us. So, patreon.com, you can support $5 a month. We do some extra kind of stuff on there. Patreon shout out, Chef Randall. You're the man. Probably a incredible chef, if I had to guess. I'm sure he's does all sorts of cool knife tricks and other stuff, but seems like a great guy from what little info I have because he is a Patreon follower. So
thanks, Chef Randall.
Chef Randall is sponsoring this podcast. We appreciate it. So please follow, subscribe, do all that other stuff. And thanks again for listening.
Good evening from Fort Worth, Texas. It's slow here in the heat. We're down Main Street.
Welcome back.
Hey.
What's up?
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
You know, not too much is going on. It's been a busy week already. So.
It has been.
Yeah.
And then too, I guess our last podcast we had Neen, so we didn't really, it was very Neen focused.
Yeah.
Which was awesome and great, but I feel like we're like 2 weeks behind on some of the news.
There's a lot of news going on.
We got to get out. But yeah, I'm doing good. I'm a little tired.
Yeah, I am too today.
Took ZQL, I think, too late, and I just couldn't really wake up.
That's
I've had
okay.
a couple cups of coffee. Paul asked to get a energy drink, but
tequila.
I didn't want to. Yeah, tequila would put me to sleep. I think that might be another.
Yeah.
That might be another issue.
Just need some fajitas. We'll be good to go.
10 a.m. tequila shots, but I don't know. Maybe it'll do the trick. So, where to begin?
Well, okay. So Formula One.
Yeah, a lot happened.
This past weekend was nuts.
This past weekend was the Silverstone British GP.
Yeah.
Right? Grand Prix. A lot happening too before this. Like, we didn't even really talk about this, but like Lando Norris got robbed apparently at like a soccer game.
Oh yeah.
So he was dealing with issues with that.
Poor Lando. That sucks.
They announced, well, I think he's all right, but it was just like
Still.
it's not fun to get robbed, I would imagine.
I would imagine no.
So the news too, before we get into that, the new car design,
Right.
which for 2022, they're going to a new car design uniform thing. Pretty interesting.
So-
What do you think?
Well, the point of that would be so that teams like Williams and Haas has a chance to actually compete with teams like Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull.
Yeah, I think they're trying to just make it more uniform.
Do you
Yeah.
agree with that? Or do you feel like sometimes I'm just like, hey, some teams just kind of suck. But
Yeah.
like also F1 is just all about money.
Right.
So like, everybody just has to put more money in to get better stuff. But if a team
Right.
like Williams or Haas doesn't have
They
the
have
same amount of
$5.
money. Yeah. And like, they're so sweet. But like if they don't have the money to do it, then they really can't compete.
I think that's abundantly clear after the last couple of years.
Right.
Like it's similar to European soccer or maybe baseball. You'd be more familiar with, where like the Yankees payroll is $1 billion,
Right.
and then the Rangers are like a bag of Fritos is what they're paying, their players. It's like, what is the least amount of money that we could invest in this team while also screwing over the city of Arlington taxpayers. That's another story. So to that, in that regard, it's like, well, then you're never going to compete. You know what I mean? It's going to be like, cause even in like baseball or soccer, I guess you can, recruit some guy, you can draft some guys, you can get some good players. And well, if your car sucks and you don't have the money to like do it, then I don't know. I don't feel like they're ever like Williams or Haas really has a chance right now, the way it's set up. So, and you still have with this, they'll still have like the, power unit and all that, like engines will be, the same as it is now. But the whole goal, I think, is to try to make it more competitive, especially from some of those other cars that just really don't have a chance.
What do you think, like, people like, well, Mercedes and teams like that are just, like, killing it every single time? What do you think they think about having to be, like, more equal with less qualified teams?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but their budget is $1 zillion.
I think it's going to make it more fun.
I hope so.
And the cars look pretty dope too.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I think you have, even like George Russell is a good driver. You have guys like, Raikkonen. The Haas drivers suck. Let's be honest, that they're probably not, that's not going to make much of a difference. But you have really good drivers in crappy cars. That was one thing Russell said this week for Williams was they're over qualifying basically in the start. And so he's like, basically, we're almost always going to have a drop back during the race because this is kind of like as good as we can get when we're like in qualifying and doing that. Which is, that makes sense. They really struggle, but I think it'll be cool. So some specific things, they're trying to reduce the downforce of the cars, which this was interesting. So it's basically like, there's a cool video on Formula1.com where like a car's driving and then a car behind it, right? So one of the big problems they have right now is the dirty air and sort of turbulence that comes off of like the car in front. So specifically, they've kind of made this design. It's all theoretical right now, but the design is supposed to have more airflow, sort of like help so that the car behind basically can follow a lot closer. You can get closer into like the DRS zone, so you can pass. So it should do a bunch of things to make everything more competitive, hopefully.
Yeah.
Whereas now you'll see the car behind, even like in, this week, like with Hamilton and Leclerc and stuff, you still kind of have to stay a little bit. You can't get too close to it because then it almost like hurts you and messes up, everything.
I'm stoked about it.
Yeah. So it's cool. They'll have bigger wheels. I don't know if that's going to make a huge difference, but 13-inch wheels is what they're doing now, and then it'll go to 18-inch wheels. The front wing looks bigger. It seems like there's it just looks more like futuristic. But anyway, if it makes it more competitive, I'm all for that. It's like cool. I think right now you're basically just like, well, is it going to be Mercedes or is it going to be Red Bull?
Right, every single time.
Else? And it'd be cool to see some of those other teams, lesser teams, be able to challenge. So pretty cool.
Another thing though that I'm super stoked about is the new qualifying.
That was cool this week.
Instead of just like, okay, how many laps is it usually? It's almost like a regular race to see what position they're going to start out in. So now they're going to start a sprint for qualifying. And it's 17 laps every single time, which is like...
Well, it's 17 for Silverstone.
For Silverstone.
It may be different for the others, but yeah, it'll be around that. Yeah,
super
It's cool. And it was really...
real quick.
Really interesting this week because... And I think, I forget what they said, but they're going to do a bunch of them next year, I think. Or maybe all of them will be sprints. I don't know. We probably should have looked that up, but...
Well, I think it was cool.
It was awesome. You saw totally from the start... Verstappen and Hamilton just battling wheel to wheel, which was a little bit of foreshadowing that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But one of the two big things that I think were crazy from the sprint, Sergio Perez just wrecked out of nowhere. So he ended up, I forget, they had some sort of like front wing damage or something, which either way he would have started, I think, in like last place or like 18th or something. But then because they had to change that, he started in the pit. from 20th place. So Red Bull really got screwed this race.
Yeah.
And, but then he ended up coming up. I forget where he finished, but did a hell of a job to get back, but started in the pit lane. And then the other one, Carlos Sainz, at one point, he got into some trouble, was down to like 18th, and then I think worked his way back up to 11th with Ferrari, and then finished 6th maybe, which that's like pretty crazy. So it does stuff like that where like it's still maybe at the end of the day you need those guys to wreck to give like Williams a chance.
Yeah,
but
I know.
It makes it a little bit different than just going as fast as possible and qualifying. And, you know, those you know, Alfa Romeo and stuff are just not even, they don't even have a shot. But maybe with this, they have a shot. I think, who is it? Alonso, I think Raikkonen. There's a couple guys that moved up from their spots in the sprint, which was awesome. Which they're all, again, great drivers, just with like maybe the not really good cars.
But could possibly even out some of the stuff that we've been wanting to see. So just better
I love it.
adding the next year, if you're adding in a sprint qualifying laps, and then you get like more of a even paced car, or not paced, an even, I don't know how you say that, but just a more even car with everybody else. Then that way it's like, okay, we're going to have some really good competition, I think.
Well, too, they had free tire choice, which I think the way I understand it was, you know, if you, whatever tire you pick in qualifying, then that's what you have to start with in the race. I'm pretty sure. So, with the free tire choice, I think almost everybody did mediums, but maybe Perez did hards or something. There was a couple, but then there's stuff like that. Or no, I'm sorry, not in the sprint. That was for the GP, but for the sprint, then it's like some are going to do soft, some are going to do mediums, you know, and that you already saw. The thing that was interesting too with Silverstone is it was like so hot, like Texas hot. So 52 degrees. I remember they kept saying, I don't know what the hell that means, you know, Fahrenheit, but 52 Celsius, or does that make sense? 52, right?
I think, and that affects
is boiling.
That
so
affects
it's basically
the
like
tires.
Yeah, it's and so that was where even in the sprint they were worried about blistering happening and stuff like that. Where you saw a little bit of that with Hamilton, where it was almost like he got the new tires and was kind of pushing it too much.
He doesn't care. He's just going to keep pushing.
I mean, he literally would have murdered someone to win, and I think that was like clear this race. So you get to the Grand Prix, lights are out, we're going. Incredible. The first minute or so, I mean, wheel to wheel, Verstappen and Hamilton, you know, kind of back and forth. You're like, oh man, he's about to take over. No, Max kind of pulls in front and sort of awesome. Not even to the second lap. Lap one, what happens?
I mean, do you want what happens or do you want my opinion?
I want both.
I mean, who's to blame? Let's say Verstappen literally gets like ran off the track pretty much by Hamilton and, you know, goes into some barriers. And is that Hamilton just doing whatever it takes to get in that first space? I mean, what do you think? So
to be clear, then at Copse Corner, which is a corner, they're going 160 miles an hour.
Right.
Max is in first. He's taking sort of the outside line. Hamilton's taking the inside line. Hamilton's front left tire hits Max's
Verstappen's,
That pushes Max, like, for one, his wheel just blows off the freaking car, flies into the corner. They said it was a 51 G impact into the wall. So it's amazing he didn't get more hurt.
I mean, he was like off the side, like real quick.
When they're cutting like that and then he freaking taps him, it's just like, you know,
bounces
like,
right off.
See ya, out of here, just with like the slightest touch. So, so then Max goes into the wall. Hamilton keeps going. Apparently Hamilton had damage to the rim, which another interesting, then they red flag the race, right? Because they got to make sure Verstappen's okay, get the car out of there and all that. They would have had to DNF, like would have been out of the race because his wheel was so screwed up. Since they red flagged, they were able to replace that and get it going so he could go back in. Hamilton received a 10-second penalty for the racing incident, as they called it. which in another weird thing with Silverstone is the pit lane is a little bit different. So it ends up taking like 30 seconds basically to pit. So it's really, really long. So a 10-second penalty here may not be a 10-second penalty at another race because you could get in and out of the pits a lot quicker than that. So 10-second penalty, slap on the wrist. A lot of people are saying, well, it wasn't, it was worse than that, to say, but
should he have gotten
was
worse?
this a racing incident? Do you feel
incident? I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to give him benefit of the doubt, but I kind of think he's starting to race dirtier than he used to.
Hey,
what do you think?
That's the exact words that Christian Horner said, dirty racing.
Dirty. It's a little dirty, which it's great to watch, but it's I don't know. I think it's he's had the tops for so long that he's I don't want to let this go. But dude, Verstappen and Red Bull is killing it recently.
Yeah, they have a great car this year.
Yeah, so I get it. He's a little bit I don't want to let this go, this streak that we've got. But it's at the end.
At what cost?
At what cost? And then at the end, obviously this race, he's this is the British race, all this stuff. So he's I'm going for it as hard as I can. At the end of the race, I guess we're getting a little bit ahead, but
we are, yeah.
But it's just what's it gonna take? So he's willing to do whatever it is. So
I think he came in. It's like with everything. Leclerc won in Italy last year?
Yeah,
maybe the year before. I think these guys want to, especially Hamilton's. I have got to win this for my brand and everything else, of the British GP and I'm sure, Lando and, Russell wanted to win too, but they don't have a shot, let's be honest. But, yeah, really, really interesting. And we've looked at it a million times. And again, I'm not the Formula One expert. Neither one of us are. One thing that I thought was interesting that Hamilton said in the sprint qualifying, whatever you call it. He, at one point at Copse, the corner, he took the outside line. And so I need to drink water today. My voice. He goes outside of Verstappen basically and ends up losing some, pace and speed or whatever.
Yeah.
So he said too, and this is how these guys think too, right? It's they're fighter pilots, just everything, they know what they're doing to the millimeter. Then when he was talking about in the race, he dummied he was going to go left and then cut inside.
Tricks.
And so it was, I think he was saying basically I tried to like Max, like I was going to go left because that's what I did, yesterday, and then tried to come inside. There's excuses across the board. Toto was trying to plead his case. Christian Horner was like, the Red Bull principal was like, basically Hamilton murdered Verstappen and was losing his mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's somewhere in the middle. The thing that, and I'll read a little bit of what Christian said. So Christian said, he called it dirty driving. For me, it was very clear. Lewis has stuck a wheel up on the inside of one of the fastest corners in this world. I think it was a desperate move. He failed to make the move in the first part of the lap. That was when they're kind of wheel to wheel battling, which he was obviously geared to do. And then it was just a desperate move, sticking a wheel up inside, on the inside, which you don't do. That's one of the fastest corners in the world. You don't stick a wheel up on the inside. That's just dirty driving. That corner, he was never anywhere near alongside, which I agree with. It was 100% Max's corner. So as far as I'm concerned, full blame lays on Hamilton, who should have never been in that position. Obviously he has his own viewpoint, right?
Yeah.
Which makes sense that he would feel that way. I think the thing that's interesting is Max is in the lead, right? Mm-hmm. And they talk about this a lot of it's, if you're overtaking, then it's the person who's overtaking's job to make sure that it's safe. Right. I can't just cut in front of somebody.
Exactly.
Knowing that they're going to take a turn or knowing that something's going to happen, because then I could put them in a position that where they could wreck or something worse could happen. And that was sort of how this was. Max is in the lead. So is he responsible to know? And I think part of, at one point when they go into the corner, Hamilton has to understeer.
Mm-hmm.
So he's understeering into Verstappen because of just, how it is. And so he clearly, there was room at the apex to be closer to the turn. That's not for dispute.
Right.
Verstappen is ahead of him, but I think, and this is how these guys are, they're the two most aggressive drivers. They've been battling all year in different ways, haven't really wrecked, but they've touched and had, just back and forth. Verstappen, I think, saw he was coming on the inside and pushed him in a little bit. And I think the goal was to push to where Hamilton then would either have to brake and slow down, and then he would take the corner, or it would push him further onto the inside, maybe even off the track, which then that would, be a thing. Hamilton, I think, was like, I'm just going to push, and then I'm going to make him do that. Right. So Verstappen's thinking, I'm going to push him off to the right. Hamilton's thinking, I'm going to get him to where he's going to have to back off to the left and push over. And neither of them did, because they were just like both super aggressive.
Both going for it.
So to me, it's maybe not 100% Hamilton's fault, but I think when you're going into that corner, which is not an overtaking corner by any means, you're going 160 miles an hour. And then you're basically like, I'm just going to stick out right here and kind of hope that this guy doesn't, that he makes a move. Whereas he could have moved over, and maybe if he moved over a little bit to the right to take the corner, even then Max could have still kind of pushed him and come over, and you may have had a worse wreck or something like that. But I don't know. I think and then you see what happened. That he 51G impact into the wall, and you could have had like a freaking Grosjean incident or something like that, like we saw last year, where it could have been
way worse,
much worse. So luckily Max walked away. Horner said he just got really winded, because he just flew into a wall, of course. But then they took him to the hospital just to kind of evaluate him, and he was there, I think, through the race, and then now he's okay and should be all right for the next race. But then this goes into Max's comments after the race and Hamilton's celebration, which you alluded to earlier. So what happened there?
I mean, he just, like we said, he wanted to win.
Was it overboard?
He wanted to win.
He was excited, yeah.
Obviously, it's his town. He wants to win it. He wins. Should we just say that?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
He wins.
He ended up winning, right?
And he's just, super stoked about it, driving around with the flag out. And then he's just
like... They give him the British, Union Jack, of course.
Yeah.
Like I'm in my home. And
then they always, record him talking at the end, where he's, talking to his team. And you can hear him just be like, man, thanks, guys. This was awesome. You guys are always pushing me for better. You've all of our hard work is paying off, continues to pay off. We're the best ones here, blah, blah, blah.
Everyone in the factory, everyone back at
everyone.
Whatever, yeah.
And then I'm just over here just but you ran Verstappen off the road to get to that position, which maybe that's a metaphor for life. People just don't care as long as they get to stand on other people, So anyway, he went kind of overboard on his celebrations of winning.
In your opinion?
In my opinion.
At one point got out of the car and then was waving the flag to the crowd and, did the slow go by all the crowd. And so
it's the first time he's won, which in reality he's won 19 million times.
Act like you've been there. That's what my grandfather said.
Yeah.
You score a touchdown,
right.
You hit a home run, which again, that's an old school, guy from Hereford, Texas, probably has a different perspective on life than maybe Lewis Hamilton. But
I'm sure too, he was just I'm better than you. And he just went overboard with his celebrations.
And let's say too, if he didn't wreck Verstappen, if he just won fair and square, maybe would have been okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it would. I mean, it was
a touch of dirtiness there.
Well, it was obnoxious, but like if you're in Azerbaijan, you're not gonna like be waving a flag. Right? I mean, I get it. It's in sorry, it's in England. It's his home deal. You know, he was really like fired up. So
yeah, no, I mean, I get it too. I get it. So what did Max say?
So Max is watching this in the hospital, right?
Oh, that's sad.
And not happy with what's happening. So Max tweets out a photo basically of his wrecked car, which is like, you know, here, if you didn't remember, this is what happened to me. Max Verstappen says, glad I'm okay. Very disappointed with being taken out like this. I mean,
so he's saying like he felt like it was a takeout.
Got taken out.
Yeah.
That's what Christian Horner too is basically saying. The penalty given does not help us and doesn't do justice to the dangerous move Lewis made on track. I agree with that. Watching the celebrations while still in hospital is disrespectful and unsportsmanlike behavior, but we move on, which is a funny way to end it of like, we move on, but like, I feel like I have to tweet this just to like throw shade at Hamilton.
Yeah.
Horner said he was equally frustrated and said that it was a hollow victory for Hamilton. So the other thing that like, and I want to talk about what Toto said because I think then that gets into my conspiracy theory brain. One of your favorites, cutie Charles Leclerc, in first place after this.
I know, and he was for all of the race.
50 laps?
50 out of 52, laps? I think. He was in first till 50, I believe.
And battling...
Ferrari.
Yeah, with Ferrari, battling engine issues the whole time. Like at one point, he's like, the engine cut out, and he's like screaming at the crew to like, what the hell do I do? And they're like, engine
Dude, I think I've got some conspiracy theories too about this.
Okay, well, I'm excited. So... and then like we said, Sainz, you know, it got screwed really in the qualifying, and then he kind of battled back. So Ferrari had a great race,
right?
Which was awesome, but
and like hasn't happened in a while. But also Verstappen wasn't in the race, so
or really Perez either, because remember Perez was late. So Leclerc had his shot at another win. What happened?
I feel like. Dude, I feel like Hamilton was like, I know I kind of effed up with the like running Verstappen off, but like also didn't mess up in like his secret mind, you know? But then he's like, I'm going to just toe the line with Leclerc until 50 and then I'm just going to take over. What do you think?
Possibly.
Because then he's like at the very end, he's like, I'm going to crush this when like Ferrari could have just taken it.
I think again, this is where, because a bunch of weird stuff happened because like Lando was doing good, but then he had a long pit stop, and then I think maybe then Hamilton came out in front of him. There's something weird where there was like 2 long pit stops that basically maybe both of those cars, you know, you're talking about seconds at the end of the day, like maybe could have slowed Hamilton down a little bit more. So there was some weird, like just random kind of luck that I think got him back. But at the end of the day, 10-second penalty. So he has a 10-second penalty. He's waiting. The pit stop takes like 30 seconds or whatever. If you're a Mercedes or Red Bull and you wreck your number one competitor, you take a 10-second penalty all day, any race, whatever. You take a 15-second penalty because, you know, we're faster than everyone else. We're going to get back on and we're going to freaking go. And that's what I had a problem with because the way it worked out. And I don't think he wasn't like kind of like waiting because they're literally like, I forget what it said, but he was something like a half second faster a lap. So they knew, because they have all these computer stuff and all this stuff, they knew, Mercedes knew around 49, 50 lap, we're going to have a chance to overtake, even like with the penalty, like at the point of the penalty when he's going out. They were like, as long as he goes this fast and we don't have any tire issues,
he's going to win.
There's a shot. So then, so then you have a slap on the wrist penalty, in my opinion.
The cutie doesn't get to win.
He doesn't. And he took a second place, which is awesome. And
it's
really,
still good, but it's like, damn. But he got driver of the day.
Driver of the day.
Which is good. But
I don't know if he could have done anything more. I mean, literally the engine's cutting out. He has Hamilton behind him, which again, maybe if the engine doesn't have issues, then they can stay far enough away.
Yeah.
I think it would have been probably cut down to the last lap, maybe.
Yeah. And then lo and behold, guess who's third?
Yeah.
Bottas again.
Just hanging in there.
Hanging in.
So
it was an exciting race overall. I love that qualifying deal. The
sprint is awesome.
The sprint is so cool.
I think it adds.
Excited about the new cars.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm excited for next week too. So
conspiracy theory time. Then I wish I had my tinfoil hat to put on.
What's your theory?
This isn't a theory. Maybe it's a theory. Is it a theory?
Know.
I looked. I saw this just randomly. This happened this weekend, so the 18th, the 19th of July. Was the Grand Prix. July 9th, Toto Wolff was interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Toto Wolff is the team principal for Mercedes.
Yeah.
Right? He said, because they were asking him about, you guys are 30-something points behind Hamilton in the deal. And then the team's behind, obviously, Red Bull. Hamilton is just one Verstappen do not finish away in the title fight.
That's so weird.
July 9th. So he's saying if we can have a race where Verstappen goes out and Hamilton wins, we're right back in it. And I think now they're 8 points behind. So that was said July 9th. And then people are like, oh, well, this was their strategy, right? Was to wreck Verstappen, which I'm not saying, but I'm saying maybe there's a little trickery involved because the other thing, Perez started on pit lane. You're never going to get a better opportunity if you're Mercedes to say, Perez, if he doesn't finish in the points, which he started in 20th, maybe he won't, which he ended up doing all right. Verstappen goes out. We got number 1 and number 2, which they got number 1 and number 3. I mean, you're never going to get that many points back in a single race. So who knows? Something to think about.
Something to think Trickery afoot.
Are they that vicious?
Yeah, dude.
I mean, I don't know. That's again.
Hamilton's just one Verstappen DNF away in the title fight. Yeah.
Right.
Snakery.
July 9th. So I think, too, like, and then the other thing we didn't even talk about, when he passes Leclerc, they go into Copse, the same corner that he wrecked Verstappen. He took more of an inside line on the corner, right, which he could have, but wasn't that inside because what happened? He pushed Leclerc off. Leclerc goes off the track.
Yeah.
And then has to come back
over
on.
I believe it's called the sausage bump or something that they call it.
I don't know if that's what they technical
I swear
term
that's what they called it, and it made me laugh. Yeah, but he got pushed off again.
But that was, too, if I'm thinking, right, and I'm reading into all this, Leclerc knows what happened. He knows this dude just freaking wrecked this guy into the wall.
And he'll probably do it to
as
me.
hard as possible.
Yeah.
He's charging. He's going to freaking wreck me. And I think subconsciously maybe that was enough to push him to go wide because he saw Lewis coming from behind and was like, this motherfucker's going to wreck me.
Yeah.
And so he pulled off, basically pulled, and then did a great job like recovering, but ended in second. And I really think again, and I haven't like seen this like a close up of this part, but it looked like Hamilton probably could have gone more inside on that too. So again, it's the whole thing of like, there's a part of this, I think, with driving with Formula One or whatever, but it's almost like I'm making my move and I'm forcing the other guy to react.
Yeah.
And that was the problem with the Verstappen Hamilton thing was they were both doing that. And then with Leclerc, it worked to a T perfectly because then Leclerc was like, well, this guy's just going to wreck me. And then I'm not even going to get second or I'm not going to whatever. And you guys have been doing that forever. But again, you're just like, it's, I don't know. I feel like, because the other thing that I saw was they said the stewards they basically just do the incident. this car A wrecked car B. And was it malicious? Was it on purpose? Whatever. They just touch wheels, this whatever. They don't factor in, is it the number one car and the number two car? They don't factor in like the fact that he ended up going into the barrier and all that, and that it was a pretty serious deal. They just go, this car touched this car, and that's it. So that was the reason for the 10-second penalty. I get it, but number two car wrecks the number one car. They have a huge advantage, and to basically say, I can take out my number one competitor and then still get first place. And then my teammate also gets, in the points.
Yeah.
I don't know if a race ban should be, the thing, but
maybe.
I think it should have been worse than a 10-second penalty.
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying, just take him out right then, like out of the race, like you're done.
In the sprint, couldn't get around him.
Yeah.
Right? Could not get past Verstappen. I think he knew, I have got to get past this guy, maybe in the first lap or the first couple of laps, because if not,
strategic,
and he has clean air and as fast as their car is, unless there's like tire issues or something, he's just going to get first place. He's just going to run away with this. So again, all of that factoring into a very aggressive approach. I don't think the guy like purposely meant to like hurt him or do anything like that. I just think he was like, I'm taking this line and he's got to move.
Well, he didn't hurt him.
I mean, you fly into 51 G's into a wall. And,
he's alive.
Yeah, I don't know. So that was F1 talk.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
There you go.
Deal. So we're excited for the next race. And they're just going to screw each other over the rest of the year.
Yeah, which is going to be kind of fun. Just hopefully they're safe.
It's going to be interesting because I think Verstappen and Red Bull are not happy, obviously.
Yeah.
And they're now, if they weren't fired up to beat Mercedes and Hamilton, they're definitely going to be fired up now.
Let's do it. Can't wait.
Where to begin?
We've talked about this last week, which is kind of funny. So I sent Travis like how do you say, like a DM or whatever on Instagram. I shared like a post, and I don't even remember what account it was, but it was like, your neighbor is
a meme.
Yeah,
I put it down
a
on
meme.
Here.
It was your neighbor is still shooting off fireworks on 7/14. Happy 14th of July. My neighbors with fireworks or whatever. And I sent it to Travis.
Which is a funny tweet to say, yeah.
Yeah, I sent it to Travis. I was like, that's so funny, like, because our neighbors were still shooting off fireworks after the 4th of July. I think it was like the 5th of July. So then this past weekend, 7/15, our neighbors are still shooting off fireworks. But
I don't know if you spelled that out, because I want to be perfectly clear. You are the ultimate jinx. Like, we've established this. You will jinx multiple times a week, but we'll say, and then it's almost like at this point, then I know it's going to happen, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
And,
So I sent that to you, and you're saying I jinxed it because it happened.
The next day. You said, happy 14th of July.
I was like, haha, so funny.
Hilarious joke. The next night.
11:30 on 7/15.
11:30. Fireworks. 11:30. From our neighbors. Across from two houses that are under construction. Again. That are just like open wood piles. Basically.
After the first time, you went over and tried to like talk them down. We talked about this last time about you gave them a gift card and all this stuff, and then they're like, my bad, sorry, it won't happen again. And then they did it again after I jinx.
I don't know if we said the gift card part because I didn't want to act like I'm, Mother Teresa or whatever, but I
said you were like Ted Lasso. Yeah. Huh?
Oh, right.
Remember?
Well, I did. I felt bad and I didn't say anything. I mean, I felt I could have been much more forthcoming or whatever, but they were very nice. Oh yeah, sorry. I mean, they were drinking, so
won't
they were
happen
just
again.
kind of like, yeah, no problem. There's a child in diapers out, which is another thing. I don't want to get into how people parent, but 11:30 at night shooting fireworks off. But so then anyway, I go over and I gave him a gift card. Hey man, really sorry about that. We got, I told him we have a kid, 6-month-old, almost 7-month-old now, daughter that was sick at the time, which is really what motivated me to go murder them if I had to. But they were very polite. And so I took him a gift card, whatever. Literally a week later, thanks to the Jinx Queen, I would say, then they're just shooting fireworks off again.
The Jinx Queen.
And they're drinking and all that. And so I get it. But this was like a Thursday night.
Jinx. What if it's not a jinx? Maybe it's just I have like, what's that you can like see into the future? Like, I know this is going to happen.
Whatever.
Like, I feel it in my bones, and then I'll say it, and then I'm like, dude, you jinx every time, Jinx Queen. And it's like, maybe I just see things more clearly.
Can you ESP some lottery numbers or something? Like, use your powers for good? I don't know about that.
Just like, I start to feel stuff in my bones, and I'm like, should I say this? And then I'll like, I know it's going to happen. And then you'll be like, oh, you jinxed this. And I'm like, but I saw, like, I mean, if they got fireworks, they're going to be shooting it off.
Let me know if there's like a stock tip or something that you come across instead of just making us get jinxed by fireworks. But,
yeah. Okay. I'll try that. Anyway, that's pretty funny.
But this was literally like a Thursday night. We had a meeting, which we should talk about. Great meeting with the developer in Burleson for the Burleson restaurant. The next morning, Izzy she did wake up a little bit.
She like kind of just moved. Wasn't bad.
But I don't know. So that's why I get trying to be nice to people, giving gift cards. Yeah. I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
It happens.
Hopefully, I think at this point, maybe they've shot off all their fireworks that they purchased, but
I don't know. But this past time, like, I kind of took on Mama Bear status this time because
you went out. Yeah.
I was like, I had matching pajamas on, which is a pretty big deal. And I went outside and I just like stood on our like walkway up to our door with my arms crossed, just like looking at them, like just so they can kind of see me, but then like can't kind of see me. So I was like kind of behind a tree, but I was definitely just like for real.
Right.
And then I went into the room closest to them, like in our house, turned on the lights, and like so you can see my shadow, and looked through looked through the blinds.
Yeah.
And soon after that is when they stopped.
Do you think they saw you, or did that help at all?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, okay. Well, our house is like completely black, and then I turned on the light.
It just seems like
in like our biggest window in the front, I was just like, meh, like trying to look through.
If I'm shooting fireworks off at 11:30 at night, and knowing that, because it's the same people that I went over, so they know that we still have a 6-month-old daughter, right? They know that we were upset about it last time. And I feel like this is a little, like I said last time, get off my lawn complaining.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way anymore. I think they're assholes. And on Twitter and everything else, people are like, you're justified. You should be upset that people are shooting off fireworks on a Thursday night.
Right.
On the 15th of July, which is hilarious thanks to that meme. You know, it was almost the perfect day, but
super funny.
And then I thought, like, some people on Twitter were like, you're just making this up. And I was like, all right, well, I should have videoed it and let you know. But
yeah.
Whatever. So fireworks
next
drama.
Next time, jinx.
Oh, dude. Fireworks drama ensues, but hopefully, hopefully we won't have any issues. They're great neighbors. Other than that, I guess. Bryson Dechambeau. This was a big weekend too. The Open, formerly the British Open. But one of the 4 majors, pretty big deal in the golf world.
Golf talk.
Golf talk. We need like a golf talk, like a damn golf talk.
DeChambeau.
Bryson DeChambeau.
What a goob nugget.
SMU. I don't know if he's an alum. I think he was only there for like a year, but formerly of Southern Methodist University. Got into a little bit of hot water. He was interviewed after, and he's generally pretty candid in interviews, but they were asking him, he missed, almost all the fairways, which, especially at this golf course, it's like a goat pasture. I mean, they try to act like it's cool. And I guess old school golfers are like, this is pure, Scotland, England, all this stuff. I don't know if St. Andrews would be fun to go play at just because of the history, but it's you hit it 5 feet off the fairway and it's just in the deepest rough possible. So his general approach to golf recently has been, I'm going to bomb it as far as I possibly can. I don't really care where it goes, because even if I go into the rough, I can gouge a wedge out of it and I'm still going to have a good shot. And it's like, I'd rather be close in a bad shot than far away in the middle of the fairway. A lot of people would disagree with that, but that's kind of in a nutshell how he's approached golf recently. So driver is a big deal for him. He uses Cobra Golf, which I've used Cobra. I wrote Puma on here, but it's actually Cobra. Cobra golf clubs. He's sponsored by Puma too. And in an interview, they're asking him about whatever, and he goes, "The driver sucks.
Yeah.
My driver sucks." And then another thing I thought was interesting, I'm living on the razor's edge. So he was saying basically, if I don't hit it perfectly, like flat in the face, then it's going to go anywhere. That's kind of how golf works. Like if you don't hit it in the face and you're too open or too close, then it's not going to go where you want. But I guess he's really been upset, you know, that they haven't been able to tweak these clubs. Because again, he's a weirdo, right? All of his clubs are the exact same length.
Yeah.
Which no one does that. But I understand it's like, because then I do the same swing, blah, blah, blah. I did a artisan wedge fitting yesterday, which was awesome. And they used to, I don't think they still make his clubs, but they used to make some of his clubs. His grips are like as big as this microphone.
Really?
So like some people, it's like smaller.
Yeah.
He likes like huge grips for some reason. So he's got all these weird things that are
He
different.
does have a lot of weird little like things that he does for golf.
It's like you take do I have an advantage here? And again, like, no offense to the guy, it's not like he's a scientist. You know what I mean? I think he went to SMU for 1 year, and he's like, oh, well, whatever. At one point, this is a funny thing. People make fun of him still, but it was supposed to rain in a tournament. So on the practice, what am I trying to say? Driving range before the tournament.
Yeah.
He had his caddy with a spray bottle spraying water on the ball to mimic if it were to rain, so that I'm practicing with.
I mean, I get it.
Does it make that much of a difference though?
I have
you know
no
what
idea.
I mean? At the end of the day,
I wouldn't think so if you're like a pro. Maybe for someone like me or something, like a wet ball compared to, you know.
So Bryson, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not good enough to make that distinction.
It just seems like too many thoughts.
Well, that's a big golfer thing, right? If you're like thinking about too much. I do that all the time, because then I'll go try to play and then I get 20 text messages. The more
beer I have, the better I swing.
There's a balance.
Yeah.
That's a very golfer. There's an interesting, it's an equilibrium of like, this amount of beers is perfect and I'm feeling good and I'm playing and I'm whatever. And a couple extra more, and then you're like, I can't really drive the golf cart.
It's a balance.
So you have to be careful.
That's so funny.
Which now at this point, just because I'm a old man, me and my buddies don't drink that often, unless it's like a weekend round, I guess. Well, I mean, the last time I played with Martin, we were ripping White Claws. Ben Showman, tour operations manager for Cobra Golf, who sponsors Bryson,
right?
Who makes the driver to his specifications, will do whatever he wants, gives him free stuff. I'm sure they pay him millions of dollars. Wasn't happy about this.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Do you want to read what he said? Yeah.
It's just really, really painful when he says something that stupid. He has never really been happy ever. Like, it's very rare when he's happy.
And then I think also said something to the effect of, it's like he's like a child.
An 8-year-old, I believe is what he said.
Where they say, I hate you. And you go, no, like calm them down. Like, no, you don't. You're just upset about this.
Like an 8-year-old.
Which is hilarious. So it's funny that he said that. And then I love that Cobra was like, no, this guy is as shitty as everyone thinks he is. And really is like tough to deal with. So I've been a Bryson, I wouldn't say fan, but I appreciate his approach is different than other people. Yeah. I think it's cool when people go like, everyone's doing this path, I'm going to go this path. And even like, especially like people are like, dude, this nerd, and like get criticism and all that.
Like golf is golf and someone's actually trying different things.
Right. A little bit different approach. And, but too, there's a lot of reasons like why people don't do that, know, which is like, so I get that. But I thought from day one, he's like, I'm sure it bothers him a little bit that people are like, this guy's so weird. But then he goes and wins the US Open at Winged Foot. And basically that was the biggest thing of like, I'm good. Like this works. I'm going to freaking bash it 200 miles an hour. I'm going to gouge it out of the, whatever. I'm going to hit it into the gallery. I don't care if there's people there or not. And I'm going to win. And he proved it. And he's a major winner. But this guy's intolerable, right?
It sounds
he's just a
like
nightmare.
Cobra and Ben Showman probably deal with this stuff a lot behind the scenes.
Every day.
And that's what it says. He said, like, it's very rare when he's happy.
Right.
So he's just dealing with it all the time. And it's, you know, for the most part, I think they keep it under wraps. But then all of a sudden he was like, wait, I'm going to show that I'm 8 years old real quick and just be difficult. And I think that's like why Cobra probably felt, you know, had the balls to be like, hey, yeah, this guy does kind of suck. And
I mean, it was a clear thing of like, look what we're dealing
like
with.
it kind of got to boiling point with Cobra, and then they finally spoke their mind.
And
so what's the outcome now?
Well, he had to apologize, and he had.
But he's still like,
yeah. I mean, I don't think
still living on the razor's edge.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. And I think too, this is a difference because like Brooks,
I do think their little fights are hilarious.
The Brooks Bryson, because then I literally said to you, I bet Brooks is going to post something like driving into the weekend or whatever. He posted driving into the weekend on Twitter with a photo with like the driver.
I think it's funny.
It's funny, but it's at this point, it's just kind of like
petty.
You're just picking on the kid that everyone doesn't like. You know what I mean? Like no one likes Bryson. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, obviously everyone's going to be like, this is hilarious, dude. Yeah. Like, so I don't know about that whole thing. The thing I was going to mention with Brooks is a lot of people don't like Brooks.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Brooks Koepka. It has said, I don't care about tournaments except for the majors. He just wants to win the majors. He said, I don't practice. I think going into the Open, he said he hadn't picked up a club for 2 weeks. Everyone else, there's a guy.
Why?
Because that's just how he is. He's like, I'm just going to, hang out with my girlfriend and go to the club and, whatever else he does. I don't know. But, but the thing with Brooks, and that's where it's like guys that are golf guys. I mean, there's some guys where like they're hitting 1,000 balls a day. That's probably an exaggeration, but they're like, if I don't hit golf balls today as a pro, then I'm going to lose my deal. To be like, I can just show up in a couple weeks and do well. That kind of rubs people the wrong way. The thing that's different, and I guess this is my final point, he has an ego, but he's also a major champion, so he can have an ego, I guess. If Brooks screws up or he does something, whatever, he'll say, I really messed up there. Or, like, I shouldn't have hit that club, or, I went long, or I pulled, whatever. There is some level where I've seen in interviews where he'll be like, that was my bad. I don't know if I've ever seen Bryson do that.
No.
It's always his caddy's fault. Every time he misses
the grass
a putt,
was there.
Bubba Watson does this too, which, he's an all right guy. But there's a few guys where every time they miss a putt, look at their caddy like, you putted it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like they give you the read, but you have to hit it. And so Bryson, his caddy quit, right? That was another thing. His caddy quit right before this because he's like, I'm tired of dealing with this guy. So I think for Bryson to get to some amount of likability, he's got to put the ego aside. And instead of going, my driver sucks, that's my fault. Somebody, or Justin Thomas was on an Instagram and did an Instagram comment and said something to the effect of, who would have thought swinging 200 miles an hour would make you miss fairways? There's a reason that every guy doesn't do it, because it's like some of them can't, but some of them it's just like, you're not going to be accurate. So I don't know, a little humility from the guy. And I think he could turn it around, because it is cool, some of the stuff he's doing, but then this is just, and you want to say, oh, he's young. He's like 27. I mean, at that point you got to know, hey, the guys that are paying me millions of dollars a year, maybe I shouldn't just throw them under the bus for their stuff. So I don't know, crazy. So that was golf talk.
Yeah. So we've been watching The Sopranos. Slightly obsessed. Yeah, Paul's like, woohoo, Sopranos. We are in season 4. I'm a little nervous, if I'm honest. I felt like there's a little bit of a lag at the beginning of season 4. I don't know if you guys have felt like that, if you've watched the show. I was a little bit like, so when's the action coming back again?
Multiple episodes of just like, what is the point of this?
Great show.
The last episode we saw was awesome. No spoilers.
No spoilers, no.
But
one spoiler though. Homeboy has a lot of sex.
This is something that we've discussed, right? And
Yeah.
I want to get your female opinion and also your psychologist, because maybe people don't know, but you do have a psychology degree.
I do.
This guy has more sex than anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right? Every episode.
With different Gumars.
With a Gumar, which is, if you're unfamiliar with the Sopranos lingo, which there's a really funny Sopranos vocabulary YouTube.
Yeah, it's like a 9-minute video and it's like hilarious.
Our friend Sam sent, but different, what do you even call that?
Gabagool.
Like, yeah.
That's cold cuts, I believe.
Yeah, all sorts of different stuff. So a Gumar is basically a mistress, right?
Yeah, which
guess
apparently
is,
if you're in the mob, Italian mob, it's like you have a Gumar, like no matter what. It's tradition. You always have your side piece, and then your main lady, your like lady that keeps your home, your wife lady, is just she just like has to be okay with it.
She's kind of like a maid, more of like a maid.
Yeah,
right? Which
and then like some also occasional sex with the actual wife,
but not often.
Not often.
Not often.
Usually after like a gift.
Yeah. And then you had an interesting comment about sister wives, but this is a different. A
Gumar.
A Gumar doesn't help the first wife in any way.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So anyway, it's this guy. It's like, I don't know what the writers were thinking or something, but like he's the sexiest guy in the history of TV.
What's interesting. And then like one of my thoughts is like, do these women know he's the mob boss? So then like they're like, because like sometimes I'm like, he'll just like see a attractive female at dinner and then they'll like have sex. But like, does she know that he's already the boss? Like there's a couple of the Gumars that Gumar,
yeah.
that like they obviously know that he's a man of power within the mob.
Every single one.
Okay. Well, then I don't get it. I mean, I guess actually, from a female perspective, the power may.
This is what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Is there something about?
Well, and he also is like, "Don't worry, I got this." Whips out like 50 grand or whatever, just like a folded wad of money in his pocket. So like, if some females see that and they're like, "All right, I can work with this." So. Maybe that's what it is. If you're talking strictly looks, homeboy is super hairy, balding, a larger gentleman.
Yeah.
So not attractive in my opinion, but
has
just has
sex with a tank top on. That's another thing that I thought was weird. Every time he has sex, he leaves his tank top on.
Well, it's a TV show.
I know, but it's weird.
He probably does though. Like I bet real mobsters leave their tees on.
They're just like, this wife beater's not coming off. Yeah. The dude is getting it. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And it's you said something, but is there something about powerful?
It's
dudes,
a power,
right? Where even though this guy looks like
I feel like in these situations, the female is more of like, you can help me out long term. Like,
and this is a fictional TV show, but also like the women that he's betting are not like just the best members of society.
No,
right? Like they're like.
No, so it's kind of I think it's a mix. Like it's like I like the power, but I also like that you have like wads of cash hiding around your house. That
I get it, and I understand the mob part, but it was literally once you get to like season 3, you're like, this guy has had sex with 500 people, right? And they're all like pretty attractive ladies, except for the last one. This is a spoiler alert.
No,
the lady with one leg.
You
and you were like,
I just, last night, that was actually on last night's episode that we watched, and I was just like cringing. I was like, no. And like, she technically like works for the family, right. And you're just like, no, don't cross lines.
But you're just like, this guy.
But then he was like, it was in the it was like, she was there, he was there. So
it's just, if they show a female, there's a chance.
There's like a 50% chance. But great show overall.
Besides that, it's a good show. It's just something that's been on my mind.
Right. And I was thinking too about Tony Soprano versus Breaking Bad dude.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Heisenberg. Heisenberg?
Great show. Yeah. But in Breaking Bad, and this is kind of now how I'm thinking about Sopranos, is like you start to like cheer on this not great person, this person that's like, a mob boss or someone that's making meth.
Right.
And so it's interesting because you're like, I kind of like, I'm like, I really like Tony.
Right.
So
and then he'll like
thought
murder
about that a lot.
someone or do something.
But then he'll murder
terrible.
someone. And you're like, it's fine.
Or cheat on his wife for the 5th time
Yeah, Carmela.
in the episode.
But you're just kind of like, it's fine. But then like really thinking about it, you're like, damn, that's really messed up.
I know.
But that's exactly how Breaking Bad was. You're like, man, I hope he can make enough meth to like, you know, but in Breaking Bad, he starts off like,
I hope he can make enough meth.
I hope he can sell enough meth to like get his wife the cancer treatment she needs or whatever it was, or what he
think
needed,
he
not
had cancer,
him.
yeah.
And then you're like, hate your wife and all this stuff. It's kind of an interesting like tugging thing. You're like, I kind of like these bad guys.
It's interesting. And I'll just say too, Janice, least favorite character of all time.
Janice looks like if anyone's ever watched Survivor, is his name Rufus? Rufus from like season 10 on in Survivor. I think he came back for a couple All-Stars, is basically Tony Soprano's sister in the series.
Yeah, with like longer hair.
Like I said that and you're like, yeah. I was like, hey, Rufus.
Which that's a really funny reference, but we're big Survivor fans because of
quarantine
the pandemic,
and being pregnant. I watched like every season of Survivor.
So anyway, that's Janice drives me nuts and just creates so many issues, but I guess
very manipulative person.
That's the point. So yeah, great show, but it's just like, you know, enough. Like this guy is like the Brad Pitt of like whatever TV shows, but do you care about space? There's a lot of rich billionaires, Richard Branson and then Bezos yesterday shot themselves into space in a very, what are you going to say?
It looks like a penis. Spaceship. A penis spaceship was shot into the sky yesterday.
Breaking news.
It was like, da-da-da, penis.
a very phallic shaped Blue Origin was the name of the space.
Then that's kind of funny. Blue, like blue balls.
Okay. Now we're going too far. But it looked like a penis, let's be honest, which then there were so many jokes of
many
like
memes.
Overcompensating much or, you know.
Do I have an interest in going into space?
Would you, let's say hypothetically, you could go and not spend money to do it, but do you have any interest in that?
I'll be open and honest about this.
Please.
I never have thought about it.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I'll have a chance to go. So
this is all things aside, you can go tomorrow. Jeff's like, hey, come on, man. We got an extra seat.
I guess. I mean, YOLO. If you only got like one chance to live and someone's offering you a trip to space and like you'll be back for dinner, then I probably would go for a day trip.
I couldn't care less.
Okay.
I don't want to go. I'm afraid of heights.
You're scared of like the ocean too. So
Dude,
like
first of all,
the unknowns.
So you were making fun of me with Sopranos horses. I don't like horses.
Oh yeah.
They're aggressive. They're big. You know, if you ride them, they could like throw you off. They could kick you. They're mean. They
also
animals.
like helped further society in creating lifestyles.
Yeah. So is a dishwasher. Like, give me a break. I don't like them. That's all I'm gonna say. So, what were we even talking about? Oh, space. I'm afraid of heights. I don't like standing on a ladder. The last thing I want to do
try and go up into space.
Go into space for 10 minutes and then just like, okay, that was cool.
What were they doing up there anyway?
Just like hanging out.
See, that's kind of appealing.
It's like a low orbit thing. Like they shoot you far enough up and then I think it's like 5 to 10 minutes zero gravity where you can kind of like float around and then it comes back down. And both of them went successful, which is great. This is a huge thing for mankind or whatever, but I don't know. It just seems like I could care less.
Well, I guess it's like they just have so much money. That's what they wanted to do yesterday.
I think so.
So there's no purpose really.
If you have $50 billion in your divorce, then you're like, I guess I'll go to space.
Right.
Which is like, you know, whatever.
But I mean, each their own.
Shout out. I had a thought of, I want to open a Blue Origin barbecue food truck.
So phallic shaped food truck?
Yeah, penis shaped, of course. So the idea is this is the most exclusive possible we could do is to be not in the earth, but we shoot into space And then we're open. Maybe we do it once a month, and we're open for like 10 minutes, like zero gravity. Then we're doing it. And then Daniel will have to put us in the top 10. It's not like you stand in line for 3 hours. You have to go to space to get this barbecue. So, and it's
very rare.
$28 million a visit.
Okay.
Is apparently what someone paid. That was another thing. A guy paid $28 million to go on Bezos' flight, and then had to cancel. Was like, nope, I'm busy.
Refund?
No refund. I don't think.
Okay. Well, let's try it. Anything's
I'm not
possible.
Going. I'm definitely. Oh, for the food truck.
Yeah.
As long as I don't have to go up there, then I know.
Okay.
But you can.
I could go. I could take 28 mil.
It wouldn't be bad. Tex-Mex barbecue cooking class, or we're at an hour. Maybe. Yeah. I'll talk about that another time. We had an awesome cooking class.
Yeah.
Want to do some questions,
right? Yeah, let's
right?
do some cooking.
Do you have
cooking questions? Let's do some questions.
Do you have?
I've got some questions.
Yeah, I got them written down, but I can share if you need. Cooking class went awesome. We had a great time. Just my own personal annoyances. It wasn't on schedule, and so stuff came out. We did a smoked queso, delicious smoked queso. It was supposed to have chopped brisket. They didn't put the chopped brisket in it. The al pastor taco didn't have the avocado salsa on it, which I was upset about. But other than that, everyone liked it and had a great time. So it went well, but just some kinks to work out for the next time. And then we have a question about classes. Oh, I got to, look that up from one of our Patreon followers.
A question?
Yeah, but go ahead, ask whatever, ask away.
Well, this is just one thing that I kind of wanted to touch on because I think it's important. Yeah. Barbecue and wine pairings.
Yeah.
This is from Shannon Crawford, SD Crawford on our Heim Time Instagram.
Yeah.
And okay, like some people are like, you can just drink whatever you want because you're drinking alcohol. But most people not everybody, but usually people don't want sauce with their barbecue, their beef, their brisket.
It's a Texas thing.
So they served, they would say dry, but it technically isn't dry.
Right.
But you want like a Boulder Red, like a Zinfandel, Melbeck, or a Cab. And from California, Argentina, or from Washington. And so just a more bold wine, like
a Cab,
pairs really well. Yeah.
With like a brisket, beef rib would be great with that.
Right.
Two, those are like peppery, kind of salty, right? Meats, and then so that pairs well. This was something on Twitter the other day, and somebody, I think maybe a question for the last podcast that we didn't answer, and someone asked the same thing. And speaking of Daniel Vaughn, he did a whole video one time about champagne, which I haven't tried this, but he said champagne apparently is the perfect brisket pairing.
Get a little vouv with your brisket.
That would be cool. We could do a $100, $200, get a Dom Perignon with your brisket, some sort of special.
Oh, yeah. That was just I think that's a good question because I think people automatically are like, oh, beer, like Lone Star, and nothing wrong with Lone Star.
Right.
Or like Big Red or something. It's like, actually, brisket can go really well with some wines and some champs.
Right.
So,
and another thing we just don't get any credit for, but we've had a great wine list at all of our restaurants since we opened. I saw Daniel again said he was at the Figus, our friend Figus
in Houston.
Aaron and Patrick,
yeah.
They just opened a new place. They have like a killer wine list, and that just made me think of them. But shout out to them because they just opened a new spot, and it looks badass. And then too, I was talking to Arnis this week at Evie May. He said the new place is killing it.
Good.
And they're doing good. So
we need to do a road trip, hit up all these places.
Houston would be fun because there's so many. Well, we're going to go to Austin to pick up that grill. We got a grill from Mill Scale that I'm really excited about. I don't know why I did quotes, but Mill Scale is who we bought the grill from. That's not whatever. Great question. Let me see. Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper. Great name.
Oh,
by the
I used to have a Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper.
That's a great name. Bob Weir or Phil Lesh, who would you rather have to dinner? And I got my Althea shirt on. Bob, for sure.
Yeah.
The Wolf Man, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Phil seems like a cool guy, but Bob, I think the thing with Bob, though, is he's a little bit of an ego problem. He's a little bit of egomaniac, but just purely from the stories and everything,
Right.
I think it'd be cool to have him.
That'd be the best.
But either way, that would be awesome. This was funny, the Texas Rangers podcast, I did, and they uploaded the wrong one on iTunes, so it's just a repeat, but you can listen to it on YouTube. They have the correct with the video. The last question Jared asked, our friend Jared Sandler, for Texas Ranger, you can have dinner with any Texas Rangers.
Ooh.
4 Texas Rangers, past or present. Who would you pick and why or whatever?
Who'd you say?
Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, duh.
Number 1, right? I mean, you got to. You may not be familiar with this, Rusty Greer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, who do you think?
Okay.
I've lived under a rock.
Okay. Well, your uncle had season tickets. Somebody had season tickets.
Yeah, when we first moved to Texas, my uncle had tickets, and so we went all the time when I was younger.
Big Rusty Greer fan. God, who else did I say? Oh, Pudge.
Pudge, duh, yeah.
Because Pudge would be awesome, and he was great. He has like a pizza place now, too,
Yeah.
I think. Like he has some restaurants, so I was like, that'd be cool. And then I thought they might cut this out, but then I said 4th was Ron Washington. Was the Rangers manager who had a little bit of a issue that he got fired. But
Always fun to watch.
Something to the effect of, if we're having a party, then I want Ron there. And I almost said I would have him bring the party favors, but I think he had a little bit of a cocaine issue. So then that was
Just a little bit.
So then I was like, well,
That's
official
pretty
Rangers
funny.
podcast, I didn't want to go that hard. But then they
awesome,
left it
though.
in,
That's
so
a
that
great
was
question.
funny. That was a good question. That's what I told him. I was like, I had to think about it for a while. And then I was also like, no offense to any current players, but whatever.
I don't know. Yeah.
So yeah, you want to do another next?
Sure. This is from, I can't ever say his name, Nick
Trujillo.
He's super nice.
Supported us since the podcast.
Yeah.
Great guy.
How has it been trying to balance 3 locations and adding a baby into the mix? And then he also sent a follow-up question. Are y'all still finding time for each other?
This is actually the only time we spend with each other.
Yeah, I was going to say,
during
this
the
is
week.
like
It's just
date
in this
day
podcast.
is doing our
We
podcast.
spend about an hour and a half together every week. It feels like that.
Open and honest, adding a baby is difficult.
Not easy.
Babies are, yeah, it's hard. So shout out to all the parents in the world. Having a kid is no joke. Worth it 100%, but it is, it's all time consuming. And I joke that my restaurants were my babies before Izzy came along, a real human.
Human baby,
because
just to be clear. Yeah.
I wouldn't care how long I was at the restaurants. I'd be there from 7:30 in the morning till close, be back at,
7 days a week.
all the time. And so now it's like a different kind of parenting, I guess, because it's a human, but it's almost like a slowdown for me in like a different way. So
yeah, like I completely
stop
agree.
and smell the roses a little bit of life.
That's a great way to put it. I think if you're an entrepreneur, you own your own business or whatever. I mean, we talked about that the other podcast of like, more of a work-life balance. You don't have a work-life balance when you're like a
there's
business
always
owner.
something to do.
So even when we're off, we're always on. Like there's no way. You do all the social media too. So you'll have somebody message about $2 corn dogs.
I woke up today to a pretty terrible message, actually. It's always.
Was that the burger deal or?
No, there's another one. I didn't even tell you about it.
Great. Whatever. But anyway, it's like you never really get away from that. And I think too, I mean, we are blessed. Like we have some really awesome team members and management, especially leadership team, where it's been nice to focus on our kid a little bit more. And we've been able to do that these first 7 months. But I think like, especially now, like last Friday, we had the meeting in Burleson and we're planning
it's about
new
to
restaurant.
Go time.
We have other things we can't even talk about yet that we're working on too, that are really exciting. And it's that I think you get a lot of like, I've heard of mom guilt,
Yeah.
I think like parent guilt is a real thing of like, I've dealt with that where I feel like lately too, like I'm working too much. Like it's hard, like, cause there was a night where I missed, you put Izzy to bed, and that was like the saddest thing in the world. Cause I forgot what the hell I was doing, but, just super, super busy. And then the next night I had stuff that I still needed to work on, but I came home because I was like, I don't want to miss that. That's a special kind of moment. But, it's just tough, man. But then I guess tough. My point is then if I'm either feeling that guilt of like we're working too much and we're focusing on that, or I feel like I'm spending too much time and then I'm neglecting the business. And like there's things that I want us to improve on, and then
there's a happy medium.
Even a couple like these messages where you're just like, this should be the most simple fix that a manager could do, that they handled it terribly. And it's something where if we were there then it would have whatever, but then you can't live that way. You have to hope that people will make smart decisions and do what they've been trained to do, but it doesn't always,
which I mean, we don't get that often.
No.
But when it does, you know, there's always those things where I mean, I know both of us feel you're just like, this could have been prevented, this could have been handled.
Right. I feel like you could always do that.
It is
better,
a thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel so blessed to be able to, you know, like I don't have to go and clock in somewhere at 8:30, you know, and sit at a desk and, you know, have to live that. And so I'm so blessed that I'm able to do that. And like Izzy comes to meetings with me, you know, there's a crib in our office. So it's just, it's awesome. But it is like, it's a pull, because it's like, I feel like we have to actively push our business forward.
Gentle
but
pressure.
then like also I'm like, I gotta feed Izzy.
Right.
So it's kind of like this push and pull.
It's not easy.
We've been on one date night and it was because it was our 10th anniversary, like an actual, like without like an event or something that we had to go and do, or even do something with friends. It was like you and me at a steakhouse, which was really awesome. But that was one time in 6 months.
Yeah, anniversary.
So, and it was our anniversary. So cool. We need to, I don't know, we need to figure out like something where we can do some stuff like that a little bit more, or like a set once a month thing, or I don't know. But we're still trying to find the balance of everything.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's not easy. Is the answer,
so if you have any tips, let us know.
Any tips would be helpful. I don't know how people do it with like, I mean, that guy we met with in Burleson has 5 kids. Just like, this is insane. At Nate Crum 27, Nate Crummel, my dude, Calvary basketball legend. New NIL NCAA rules. Will Heim BBQ be hiring TCU athletes for spokespeople? I talked about this the last time, and the right barbecue guy doing the O-line, which I thought was brilliant and something I wanted to do. I don't know how this works, to be honest. We've had,
like, who do you reach out to?
I don't know. And we've had a few athletes reach out to us, and like, it's on the football
cool, we'll
team,
do it, but how?
Baseball team. And it's like, everyone knows I'm a huge TCU fan. We're huge TCU fans. We're not sponsoring any SMU or Baylor people, let's be honest, but I don't know how it works. Yeah. And so I guess we need to look into like the ins and outs of that, and how
maybe it's like on the NCAA website or something.
Well, we know like the sports information director and stuff, so I can just message him and be like, hey, what do we do? Because I want to make sure we're doing it the right way. But then too, I don't want to just get a bunch of football dudes.
I want to like benefit us,
like women's golf, tennis, like benefit us. Yeah,
well, isn't that the point? It's advertising.
Yeah, so that's true. But yeah, I don't know. We're trying to work through that, but it was such a thing, like crazy. That was another thing Nick Saban said, Alabama coach, their quarterback who hasn't started a game yet has gotten over 6 figures worth of endorsements.
Wow.
6 figures already, and hasn't played. He's played, but hasn't started a game yet. So yeah, crazy. Patreon question from Pat Flynn. Pat, you're the man. When is your next barbecue class? What will you cover? Enjoyed the Father's Day class. Thanks, Pat. Thank you, Pat. Thanks for supporting us. Patreon.com/Heim Time Podcast. The Father's Day class was awesome. We did 2 of those. It was a blast. Tex-Mex, again, was great. I'm just a neurotic, and which, I think timing could have been better on some of the food, but we had a great time. I don't know. I think because we're going out of town first week of August. Yeah. Or like first, second week.
And then we got to get that mill scale grill.
Right. So we're going to do that probably when we come back because, again, they're late on it. But whatever.
The grill-centric class or something.
Well, you're 2 steps ahead of me. This is why we're a great team. A couple of the things we've talked about. So I guess the plan is end of August, maybe 3rd or 4th week of August. Because we're trying to do one a month. But, again, the schedule's just crazy. 3 things we've talked about, and maybe this is like viewers, listeners, tell us what you think would be the coolest one. We're going to get this badass wood fire grill steak night. We do 6 different steaks.
Wine pairings.
Steaks with wine pairings. Tomahawk ribeyes.
Let's
we do some strips. We do some other stuff, but we can smoke them. We'll do some reverse sear. We can grill them on the wood fire grill.
And the coals.
Yeah. The whole thing. Well, it has like a plancha. It has like different 4 different things, so we can do all sorts of cool stuff with that grill. Once we get it, so that would be cool, right? Do all the like steakhouse sides, like just badass, like really good mashed potatoes. Do all the like crazy stuff. Like at Drake's, we love Drake's. That's where we went for our 10th anniversary. Good. Great kind of steakhouse sort of club vibe, I guess. Number 2, Neen Williams, our friend, who we are doing. I don't know if it's been announced yet. We're doing a rub giveaway with Neen. He's a huge griller, cooks, foodie, has all these awesome rubs. Collab with Neen, which would be awesome.
Should definitely do that.
Yeah, he's like skateboarding around the world and doing all sorts of stuff. So that's the other thing where we're hoping to do that, but we may try to like, we got to sync up our schedule. So that again, may be September or something. We'll see, which is insane that it's already almost August. But
get ready for Izzy Christmas presents.
I can't wait. I love Christmas. So Neen Williams collab, NADC rubs. That'll probably be, we'll smoke some stuff, but we'll do some grills, grilled items too, some cool stuff. Cause he's not just barbecue, but does a bunch of other stuff.
He did a ceviche like a couple nights ago. Awesome. And I was just like, damn, I'm gonna eat that.
And he's just a great dude. So that would be cool. And then the third thing that I want to do, which this one we would have to pull off before football season, but hopefully we still have football season and we can go to games and all that. Tailgating class.
Oh, that's ultimate a good idea.
Tailgate. Thank you. Ultimate tailgating class. And then I may have Jeff, our friend Jeff, Allie's dad, who has done badass tailgate at TCU football for, I don't know, 20 years probably.
We've been a couple times. It's super fun.
Yeah, reach out to him and see if, he can help with that because,
he'd love that.
Matt Pittman is supposed to come on the podcast when he's not hanging out with Luke Bryan. So, that may be, 2 years from now or something. But he, before they did all their Pitmaster stuff, he was doing tailgates at Cowboy Stadium. And they still do, so.
We've been to that too. That's a party.
Oh yeah, but just like
those are great options.
Thank you. Yeah,
we should do all of those options.
I agree. The timing we got to figure out, and it's like, do we need to do the tailgating one soon because then getting ready for football?
Yeah,
can we do that? Because
probably before the steak one.
Well, September. I think the first weekend of September is TCU's first game, which they're playing like a high school. It's not like a serious game.
Yeah.
So you don't really get into the important games until a couple weeks. But so at that, the steak one we can do whenever, and we could do like multiple in a month. It's just I'm trying to. The cool thing is like Billy Mays.
Trying to find balance.
He, good luck. He has been to 2. He came this week, and then he came to the Father's Day. Pat came to the Father's Day. There's a bunch of guys that have come to a few, and they're like, as soon as you do the next one, we're in. And like,
and what we're doing is giving it to the slots to Patreons first, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a Patreon listener, follower, then you get the option to buy tickets first, and then we announce it to the general public.
We'll put it on there first, yeah.
That's also another benefit to the Patreon.
And eventually now we're up to, thanks to Chef Randall, up to 15 patrons. And early on, those patrons got invited to the Friends and Family opening in Dallas.
Yeah. And they'll be open, and Burleson, whatever else we have going on, these people will be on the Friends and Family invite. So it's pretty cool.
So eventually I want to do just a class for Patreon members and do stuff like that. But
you pretty much have almost a full class.
And we're going to do, we're working on some merch that's really cool, Heim Time merch and some other stuff. So, yeah, if you want all the exclusive stuff, go on there. The recipes, I tested all the recipes for the Tex-Mex class. That's what I'm going to do from now on. I'm going to put them on Patreon. This is what I tried. This is what works. So you kind of see the behind the scenes before then we do the class. I tried recording the class. I got about an hour of it. And then I've uploaded 3 of the 6 videos, and I had trouble uploading the other one. So my plan is I was trying to get all of them up on the YouTube unlisted, whatever. And then I'm going to put them just on Patreon. So even if you didn't go to the class, you can at least kind of see
that's cool
how it goes on there. But, might need Paul to help me with that. It's, I don't know, for some reason, the 4th video wasn't uploading, but, whatever. So we're okay. About an hour 20. Any more questions? I think we got.
I feel good about it. We got this restaurant spotlight.
I'll answer at Josh Gilly 94. How to trust your employees to not put your recipes on the internet?
Oh,
you can't.
Good question.
I wanted to say this just because of the podcast that happened.
They all sign
NDA.
NDA. What podcast that happened the other day?
The podcast that we did with all the barbecue guys and Fort Worth. Wherever that
they
was.
signed an NDA. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't say this because then they're going to be like, oh, I can do whatever I want.
Well, I mean, they can and have. I mean, we have like 4 or 5 employees at other barbecue places in town now. So it's like, I think, everyone's bacon burn ends have gotten a lot better over the last year.
Yeah.
So, no, I was just going to say, you really can't. Like, that's one thing that sucks about restaurants, but it's like, how do you enforce that, and barbecue especially is so technique driven. Like, you can tell somebody this is how we do our mac and cheese and all that, but it's rare that someone would blatantly rip off, exactly the recipe.
Yeah.
But we've had that, but, it's just kind of how it is. But yeah, we did that podcast, Tales of the Pits, whatever. And, I guess I shouldn't say, I mean, it doesn't matter, but I guess one of the gentlemen used to work at a famous place in Austin, and he said on the podcast that you can throw that person's cookbook in the trash because it's not accurate to what they actually do. And I said, Jesus, like, take it easy.
That's going to be a good podcast when that comes out. Tales of the Pits, I think it's like August 14th or something.
We got asked the first question, and I feel like, and it's still bothering me that I said a word wrong, that I meant to say a different word, and I don't know if I'll be able to listen to it because that'll just drive me nuts.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I think it was really cool, but I just thought that was hilarious because that was an example of, no offense, but all the Goldie guys used to work at Franklin, Law Barbecue,
Valentina's?
Micklethwait, maybe Valentina's, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe not Valentina's.
And then they left and opened their own place. And that's fine, and it's great, and it's successful. But again, that's just a part of barbecue.
It's going to happen to us eventually. Jinx queen.
Well, the thing with us is you're such a jinx, and that is just a prime example. But
see, that's what I mean. Like, it's like inevitable. It's not a jinx.
Yeah.
It's all inevitable.
People that have left us so far have just gone to work at other places.
At local places.
Haven't opened their own spots yet, which, that'll happen eventually. And that's just kind of how it is. And you look at Franklin and John Lewis, and I'm a part of that because I cooked with John Lewis and learned a lot from him. But it's like coaching, it's like the coaching tree, like Bill Belichick, everybody that worked for him that then now does their own thing. Those guys specifically, I'm trying to think who up, but pretty much anyone who is like in the top 50, or if you're in the top 10 or whatever, maybe like Arnis didn't work for anybody. I mean, there's few guys that have cooked their own stuff and done it and gotten the acclaim.
The thing about like people starting a restaurant is you have to know business.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, I can cook a good brisket and then like, just like hope and pray that money appears. Right. Like, you have to really understand your PARs and like your food costs and all of this stuff, all of the things that go into your daily restaurant, like even, employee costs, wages, taxes, all of that. And if you don't have that side of it, then you're not going to be successful. So that's a thing.
That's 100%. And a half a dozen places coming to my mind right now.
Yeah.
That it's like, we know just from everything that they're just not making money.
Yeah.
You can't be open this little. You can't do, and pay what you do for meat and all that. And
especially
that's
now with the cost of meat.
Oh yeah.
And wages. Geez.
That's what's tough with barbecue, because then, a lot of those places too will get a claim and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if you're not making any money, you have to be able to pay, your employees. You have to be able to provide for your family. So who cares if you get in Texas Monthly or whatever, if you can't afford your rent, for the month. So, but again, that's, let's get off our soapbox.
Find balance.
Speaking of really good barbecue places, though, Restaurant Spotlight. Speaking of the podcast, we met Derek Walker with Smokeaholics Barbecue. Super nice guy.
Super nice guy.
Told us, kind of more of his story and stuff. And we were trying to get over there for Turkey Leg Tuesday, but then we got sidetracked. But Smokeaholics Barbecue, tell us about it.
So they're open Wednesday through Saturday, 11 till sell out. And then, like you said, Turkey Leg Tuesday.
And I wanted to ask him this. I think they only do turkey legs on Tuesday. I don't think they have the rest of the menu, but I couldn't really get
I'm down for that.
I tried to message him.
So it's called Smokeaholics. It's at 1417 Evans Avenue in Fort Worth. And what he says,
35, sorry.
Yeah, right off 35.
Like in Rosedale-ish area.
His motto is Texas barbecue with a soulful twist. And we did get to hang out with him at the Tales of the Pit podcast recording. Super cool guy. Kind of brought me back home on why we barbecue, what we're doing.
You can tell he's passionate.
The love for barbecue. And I really appreciated it. And he just shot info straight, and I liked it a lot. So he's a great guy to support. And I think his wife helps some.
Yeah.
So just an overall good spot to check out.
Yeah. So open Wednesdays through Saturday, 11 till sold out. One of the things that I thought was funny, their sold out sign is SOULD.
Yeah. I saw that too. Sold out. Which is so good. That's so cool.
The food looks awesome. 817-386-5658. It's 1417 Evans Ave.
They're on Instagram and
all the stuff. And that's what he was saying. And this was the interesting thing. And, I can say it, but places maybe I shouldn't say that. I feel like in general, in the past, you look at Aaron Franklin's the best barbecue in the world.
Right.
Elliot Moss, the best barbecue restaurant in the world. Two nerdy white guys.
Mm-hmm.
Bon Appetit and everything else. So in Texas Monthly, whatever. Derek, which we didn't mention, is an African-American guy.
Yeah.
He cooks soul food.
Yeah.
They do smoked turkey legs. They do that's one of the things he was talking about in the podcast. Candied yams, all this stuff. It's barbecue, but he was saying I don't cook barbecue like Austin, Central Texas guys. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't really like pepper, so I don't have a ton of pepper on my stuff. Those guys like that in general haven't gotten the credit that they deserve in the past. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's going to change now. I think Texas Monthly, the top 50 we'll see a lot more representation. But in general, it's I think it's everything is this is great. And this place is awesome as long as you cook like Aaron Franklin or John Lewis, as long as you do sort of this thing that's like everyone else. What's awesome about Derek and what they're doing is just awesome, really good barbecue. If you just look at it as a barbecue place, you're this is great and deserves credit. But then you have the soul food. You have the turkey legs. They do a loaded cornbread, he was saying, that's homemade cornbread, bell peppers and stuff, onions, beans, freaking brisket, cheese, all this stuff, just, loaded. Everything's smothered, the turkey legs with etouffee or something.
Yeah.
He was saying, with shrimp.
There's pasta and stuff on it. It looks so good.
So anyway, it doesn't mean anything coming from me, but I think they're doing really cool stuff and they deserve more credit for what they're doing. And I'm hoping that, we'll see more places like that aren't just, white guys with glasses
and big beards.
And big beards. Awesome. So check them out. Smokeaholics Barbecue. we said it, I think, in the intro. Chef Randall, newest Patreon follower.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're cool dude. Anything else?
I think that's it.
So follow us on Heim Time Podcast, Instagram,
Heim Time Podcast.
YouTube,
YouTube,
iTunes.
Heim Time Podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Apple is
Podcasts
iTunes,
or whatever.
Spotify,
Yeah.
all the things.
Patreon.com.
Keep following us on Patreon. That's such a big help for us because it helps us pay to actually do these podcasts. So
Paul's got
that's
to get
been
money. So
wonderful. I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, be on the lookout like for the classes. We're doing those. New merch is coming out. The giveaway, if we haven't done that yet with the rubs.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And thanks again for listening.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.